Joining us right now is a former NATO Supreme Allied Commander and CNN military analyst, General Wesley Clark. It's good to see you, General. Let's start with kind of exactly what John and Sam Kiley were talking about. We have these latest and continued strikes day and night coming from Russia into Ukraine, but now at the same time, we're seeing more and more strikes on Russian soil. What does this intensity, is kind of the way I'm kind of describing it in this moment, suggest to you about this phase of the war?
Russia still doesn't have the means to really go after significant Ukrainian military targets with its missiles. For whatever reason, it just doesn't. And it feels it gets better return by simply punishing the Ukrainian people. It's like if you don't like me, well, I'm going to kill you. And so it's a personal attack by the Russians on the Ukrainian people. Ukrainians, on the other hand, recognize that Belgorod is a key logistics center. So these dissident Russian forces that are moving in around Belgorod are actually disrupting the ability of the Russian forces to respond to a potential Ukrainian counteroffensive. Now, where that counteroffensive is, we don't know. Could be in the Bakhmut area, could be in the south toward Melitopol. It could be in the northeast of Kharkiv. And in that case, what happens in Belgorod would be really significant. The Ukrainians are not disclosing this, and they probably haven't even made a decision on it. A lot of it depends. This is a cat and mouse game at this point. They're doing reconnaissance in force. They're using their artillery. They're looking at Russian reactions, and they're trying to assess where their best opportunities are.
And I wanted to ask you about that, in terms of the best opportunity, because we have heard so much about the imminent counteroffensive. And when it comes down to, if you want to call these the final moments before it would begin, what are the right conditions, in your view, General, for Ukraine to launch this effort?
First of all, you've got to look at the environmental situation. So is the ground going to support your forces? Secondly, you've got to look at where the Russians are, the Russian strengths, weaknesses, dispositions. And third, you've got to look at your own forces and where they are. Are they ready? Is all the equipment there? Is there more training to be done? And then you have to put these conditions into a plan that works. That plan is going to involve some deception. It's going to involve some feints. We're going to be surprised by it. So we, in the American side, not only the American public, but probably the American military, don't really know what the Ukrainians will actually do. There have been some wargaming, there's some cooperation, there's obviously intelligence sharing on both sides, but the actual command decisions, those are going to be held very close by Ukraine. We are moving into the period where the ground is drying out. We are getting a lot more Western equipment in, and the training is continuing for the Ukrainian forces. Question I see is, what's the Russian disposition? Where are the weaknesses? What about that in place in Bakhmut? Is that going to provide an opportunity? Where do they stand in the south? Can the Ukrainians actually get to the Crimean land bridge? If they can, that's decisive, because this war only ends when Mr. Putin realizes he's going to lose. That's why, although the United States is not encouraging it and supporting it, these Ukrainian attacks into Russia, even the drones in Moscow, are strategically valuable. They bring the fact home to the Russian people that, yes, there's a war. It's not a police action. And yes, the Ukrainians are real people, and they are going to fight back, and you need to stop this. So this is all part of the strategic buildup. So I think we're going to have a very busy summer, but we can't predict where or when yet, Kate.
It's great to have you on, as always, General. Thank you for your time.